So out there is the open ocean. Drops off to 3 kilometers down as you just get out past the island ahead there. And then as we pan around, this is the northern end of the Marovo Lagoon. This whole thing is just a lagoon. The airport is, well, if you can call it an airport, is somewhere down there to the south. This is the welcome jetty, and I don't know how much you'll pick up with the camera, but lots of fish in here. This is also where the sharks are, but they're not here right now. Oh, here comes one. Sharky. So we can go in snorkeling with these guys here.
And that's exactly what I decided to do. Carpe diem, as they say. After a quick dash to the dive hut to grab my wetsuit, mask and snorkel, I was in the water with sharks for the very first time in my life. The water was a very nice 28 degrees Celsius or 82 degrees Fahrenheit and very clear. The fish were everywhere and they didn't seem too concerned about me poking a camera in their faces. As I remembered that I was actually here to see sharks, I turned around and there was my first one. Wow! So streamlined in the water. Was I a little scared? No, not really, because the owner had given us the welcome briefing at the jetty, and she'd said that they'd never had a problem with these sharks, and that it was safe to be in the water with them. However, there was a small voice in my head saying, yeah, but what if there's a new shark who's turned up, and he doesn't know the rules about not eating the guests? How can you tell if these are the regular sharks that live here, or a new guy? I mean, they all look the same to me. There's definitely a small thrill that runs up your spine when there are half a dozen of these creatures surrounding you, despite the logical part of your brain telling you they're a timid creature who don't bite humans. These are actually blacktip reef sharks, and they can grow up to 1.6 meters or 5.2 feet in length, and they live up to 12 years. This cuttlefish took me by surprise. He was so well camouflaged. The camera's all over the place as I try to start recording while trying not to scare him away. And that dark orange fin sticking out from the tentacles is a fish that I presume he just caught and was trying to eat when I disturbed him. He's definitely not keen on sharing with me. And the way they change these colours of the skin is just so amazing. This dive site was called Deku de Kuru, and it consisted of 3 cave-like swim-throughs that were formed by the coral. It's a really exciting experience to dive these tight swim-throughs for the first time. The water temp was 30 degrees centigrade or 91 degrees Fahrenheit. Open water viz was about 30 meters plus, and my total dive time here was 74 minutes. We began the dive with a guide and 5 divers. but only myself and another diver and the guide managed to complete all 3 caves. That doesn't mean that anyone died, it means they didn't have enough air for the final cave, and so they had to surface and get into the boat. Because it's not a cave formed by rock, there are these beautiful bright shafts of sunlight that shine through holes in the coral every now and then. Your eyes are trying to constantly adjust between the dark and the bright sunlight. Definitely a dive I'd love to do again. As we came out of this cave exit, the dive guide all of a sudden just jerked his thumb up in the indication to surface. And it seemed, he seemed almost angry about it, but what it turned out to be was that he'd literally come out of the 3rd cave and come to the exit point with 0 air. This guy was literally sucking on aluminium dust from his tank. I was quite pleased because I'd come out with 70 bar of air left. I'd started with 210. This is a bit optically challenged. What we're actually looking at here is we're looking straight down the wreck of the Teo fishing boat, which sits almost perfectly vertical in water. Apparently on its maiden voyage it had gone out, hit the reefs, began to sink and slid down backwards and rests on this coral ledge. The bow of the boat is in 5 meters and the stern here, where we're just about to swim through, is at 38 meters. And what you can actually do is you swim through this gap in the coral and go underneath the stern of the boat and then come up under the keel of the boat, and around about 3/4 of the way up there's an exit point where you pop out along the side of the boat. Viz was 30 meters plus and my max depth was 38 meters or 125 feet with a dive time of 22 minutes. Here's another moment when I was juggling to get the camera filming while holding the torch in a fairly strong current. This is an anemone of some sort which appears to be making an electrical arc. Now whether that's for killing prey or for signalling, I don't know. If you know, I'd be very thankful if you could leave a comment and let me know what it's called and why it's doing what it's doing. This was filmed at the Bapita Sinkhole dive site. On the way back from there, the guides decided to take the shortcut home through the mangroves. The tide was going out at this point and the water was very shallow, but they skillfully navigated us through. They said that they sometimes see crocodiles along the banks here, but we didn't see any that day. This wooden structure is all that remains of a small gauge railway bridge that was built for hauling the timber out when they logged this area for hardwoods many years back. And then just when you think you're miles from civilization and miles from anywhere, out in the middle of nowhere, we came across this homestead. The local kids seemed pleased to see a boat full of tourists pass by. No dive video is complete without a guest appearance from Nemo. I'm not sure if he's the original one that starred in the movie. I mean, they all look the same to me. One thing's for sure though, he's fiercely defensive of his home. He and his anemone were part of some beautiful growth on a P-38 plane wreck, which lies in 5.5 meters of water just off the end of the runway at Sega Airport. The viz here was down to 20 meters, and if you can guess what the water temperature was, 30 degrees? You're right. That's 89 degrees Fahrenheit. This dive site is called the General Store because it's got a little bit of everything. I actually saw my first crocodile fish here, but unfortunately my SD card had run out of space by the time I saw it. Dive time was 79 minutes with a max depth of 14 meters or 46 feet. The water temperature was, yeah, you know what the water temperature was, even though if you look at the surface you can see that it was raining up top. Then, all too soon, it was time to head home to Australia. As we fly past Sega Airport, If you look slightly up from the right hand edge of the runway, you can see the boat that dropped us off there. It's just making its way back to the resort. I'm sure many of us on the plane wished we were on that boat instead of on the plane heading home. I had 13 dives in total, including a night dive, but sadly no footage of that. People ask me, would I go back? The answer is yes, but I'd try a different resort with different dive sites, or maybe even a liveaboard where I could squeeze in 3 or 4 dives a day and a night dive every night. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment or any questions you might have about the dives. Please like and subscribe if you'd like to see more of my diving adventures.